갑질한 거야? 너 목적이 뭐냐?
내가 알아서 해.
정보원이 희생된 게 처음인가?
Hook. What if one secret mission could change the fate of two nations? Today, we are breaking down Humint 2026 with its full story, hidden facts, and ending explained. You're watching Review Hub, so stay till the end because this movie has more twists than you think. Here's your rewritten version in simple, easy wording using a natural USA conversational style while keeping the length about the same and removing citations. Humint is a 2026 South Korean action spy movie written and directed by Ryo Sang-won. The film was produced by filmmaker R&K and features an impressive cast including Zo In-sung, Park Jeong-min, Park Hae-joon, and Shin Se-kyung. The story follows South Korean and North Korean intelligence agents whose dangerous missions collide in Vladivostok, Russia, as they investigate a mysterious criminal case connected to the border. As the investigation unfolds, they face intense action, unexpected betrayals, and high-stakes espionage that keeps the tension building from start to finish. The movie was distributed by Next Entertainment World Near You and officially hit theaters on February 11, 2026. The title Humint stands for Human Intelligence, a term used in the spy world for information gathered directly from people instead of technology for surveillance. This movie is also the third installment in director Ryo Sang-won's unofficial overseas location trilogy, following the successful films The Berlin File 2013 and Escape from Mogadishu 2021. It also brings Ryo back together with Zo In-sung and Park Jeong-min, who previously worked with him in the 2023 hit movie Smugglers. With its international setting, thrilling spy missions, and powerful cast, Humint delivers an exciting mix of action, suspense, and political drama that makes it one of the biggest Korean movies of 2026. Here's your rewritten version in simple, easy wording using natural USA slang while keeping the original length and making it smooth for a YouTube movie explanation. The story takes place in Vladivostok, Russia, where a manager for South Korea's National Intelligence Service is given a dangerous mission to track down a powerful international crime organization operating near the border. While working the case, his investigation crosses paths with Park Ji-yeon, a North Korean state security officer who has arrived to look into a serious security leak on his side. Even though both men have different goals, they are pulled into this dangerous situation. Things get even more complicated because of Hwang Chi-song, the North Korean consul general, whose personal agenda doesn't match the official mission. Right in the middle of everything is Chae Seon-ha, a woman working at a North Korean restaurant. Both the South Korean and North Korean intelligence teams believe she has valuable information and want to recruit her as a human intelligence source. As both sides fight to gain her trust, Seon-hwa finds herself trapped in a deadly game of spies, secrets, and betrayal, where one wrong move could cost her everything. Casting Zo In-sung as Manager Zo In-sung anchors the film as Manager Zo, the South Korean National Intelligence Service operative stationed in Vladivostok. His character operates with limited resources, relying heavily on human sources to track an international syndicate involved in drugs and related cross border crimes near the Russia North Korea frontier. The role demands a mix of procedural competence, personal guilt stemming from a prior informant's death, and a protective instinct toward new contacts that borders on obsession. Zoe's established screen presence, marked by restrained intensity, quiet authority, and the ability to convey internal conflict without overt theatrics, aligns closely with the requirements of a mid level intelligence manager who must balance operational necessity against human cost. His career trajectory provided the foundation for this casting. Early recognition came through television roles that showcased emotional range and romantic vulnerability, including Something Happened in Bali That Winter, The Wind Blows, and the widely regarded It's Okay, That's Love. These projects established him as an actor capable of carrying long form character arcs while maintaining audience empathy. Film work expanded his register into more complex moral territory. Appearances in the classic A Dirty Carnival The King and The Great Battle demonstrated comfort with both period and contemporary material, often in roles that required navigating power structures or personal ambition under pressure. More recent collaborations with director Ryo Sung-wan in Escape from Mogadishu and Smugglers created a working shorthand that proved decisive. By April 2024, Zoe was already in discussions for Humint, making this their third joint project. The continuity allowed the production to build on an existing trust regarding action choreography, location shooting demands, and the director's preference for grounded performances amid high-stakes set pieces. The character's 4-month immersion in Vladivostok and the lingering trauma of losing an informant named Kim Soo-rin shape much of manager Zoe's behavior. Zhu In-sung's capacity for subtle physical signaling, tightened posture, delayed reactions, measured speech translates effectively into an operative who cannot afford visible emotional leakage, yet cannot fully suppress it. His prior experience with ensemble-driven narratives also supports the film's multi-threaded structure, where manager Zo's investigation repeatedly intersects with North Korean counterparts. The casting choice further benefits from Zoe's real-world reputation for professionalism on demanding location shoots, a practical consideration given that principal photography occurred in Riga, Latvia, standing in for the Russian Far East. Asterisk Park Jeong-min as Park Jeon. Park Jeong-min portrays Park Jeon, a North Korean state security officer dispatched to Vladivostok to examine disappearances of North Korean women and to assess the local consul general. The role requires an interrogator's cold precision combined with underlying personal complications that surface when past connections reappear. Park Ji-yeon's function as both investigator and potential internal threat creates layered tension. The performance must convey institutional loyalty while hinting at individual fracture lines. Park Jong-min's filmography supplied the necessary range. Early work such as Bleak Night and Dongju, the portrait of a poet, established his ability to inhabit quiet, introspective characters under historical or social pressure. Deliver Us from Evil brought wider recognition and a Best Supporting Actor honor, showcasing physicality and moral ambiguity within an action framework. Subsequent projects, Smugglers, Uprising, Harbin, and The Ugly, further demonstrated versatility across genres, from historical drama to contemporary thrillers. His dual identity as actor and writer with the best-selling book A Useful Person informs an approach that prioritizes character motivation and internal logic, qualities that serve a role defined by bureaucratic procedure and sudden violence. The casting of Park Jong-min opposite Zo In-sung leverages their prior collaboration under Ryo Seung-wan in Smugglers. Shared screen time in that film created an established dynamic of mutual wariness and reluctant alignment that Humint expands into full adversarial cooperation. Park Ji-yeon's expertise in enhanced interrogation techniques and his assignment to monitor Wang Chi-song place him in constant proximity to both South Korean agents and local power structures. Park Jeong-min's facility with understated menace and sudden shifts into intensity allows these interactions to remain unpredictable. Reports of his post-Lamenti decision to step back from acting in favor of publishing work underscore the intensity of the commitment required for the production, particularly the action sequences involving drifting and close quarters confrontation filmed in Latvia. Asterisk. Park Hae-joon as Hwang Chi-song. Park Hae-joon plays Hwang Chi-song, the North Korean Consul General in Vladivostok. The character has settled into a position of relative comfort and autonomy, running what amounts to a personal fiefdom within the consulate while enforcing loyalty tests designed to discourage defection. The role demands a performance that balances official protocol with private self-interest, delivering threats through smiles and procedural language rather than overt aggression. Park Hae-joon's background bridges theater, independent film, and mainstream television. Early stage work transitioned into indie features such as Fourth Place, which earned nominations at the Buell and Wildflower Film Awards. Believer brought further supporting actor recognition. Television success arrived with The Word of the Married, followed by high-profile appearances in The 8 Show, When Life Gives You Tangerines, and the Disney Plus project Tempest. These roles collectively demonstrated his capacity to inhabit authority figures whose charm masks calculation. The casting capitalizes on this reputation. Hwang Chi-song must appear reasonable and even hospitable while systematically obstructing investigations that threaten his position. Within the ensemble, Hwang Chi-song functions as both institutional obstacle and personal antagonist to Park Ji-yeon. Park Hae-joon's ability to sustain a consistent public face while allowing private cracks to surface supports the film's exploration of competing loyalties inside the North Korean apparatus. The performance also interacts with the supporting network of subordinates, particularly Jeong-min, whose loyalty amplifies the Consul General's reach. Park Hae-joon's nomination for Best Supporting Actor at the 2026 Baksang Arts Awards reflects critical acknowledgement of the precision required to keep the character from tipping into caricature. Asterisk Shin Se-kyung as Chai Seon-hwa. Shin Se-kyung assumes the central human intelligence figure of Chai Seon-hwa, a worker and occasional performer at the North Korean-run Arirang restaurant in Vladivostok. The character becomes the focal point of competing recruitment efforts by South and North Korean agents. Her position requires balancing survival imperatives, securing medication for a cancer-stricken mother against the extreme risks of collaboration or exposure. The role demands vulnerability without passivity, strategic calculation without cynicism. Shin Se-kyung's career began in childhood and progressed through prominent television work including High Kick Through the Roof, Deep Rooted Tree, 6, Flying Dragons, Run On. Captivating the King and Arthdal Chronicles, the Sword of Aramun film credits such as Hindsight R2B, Return to Base, and Taza, the hidden card established her screen presence, though Humint marked her first major film role in more than a decade. The casting replaced an earlier attachment of Nana, who withdrew due to scheduling conflicts in September 2024. Shin Se-kyung's selection restored the project's momentum while bringing a performer experienced in period and contemporary material requiring both emotional accessibility and controlled intensity. Chai Seon-hwa's placement at the restaurant, an authentic institutional mechanism for generating foreign currency and monitoring overseas North Koreans, grounds the character in real-world intelligence dynamics. Shin Se-kyung's performance must convey the daily performance of loyalty required of restaurant staff while signaling private desperation and tentative openness to South Korean contact. The role's centrality to the film's human intelligence theme makes her casting pivotal. The character's choices determine the trajectory of both Manager Zo's redemption arc and Park Ji-yeon's investigative path. Recognition at the 2026 Baksang Arts Awards, where Shin Se-kyung won Best Supporting Actress, confirms the impact of this return to the big screen. Actress Jung as Assistant Manager Lim, Manager Im Jung-jin, also credited as Jung-jin, portrays Assistant Manager Lim, the South Korean agent working alongside Manager Zo in Vladivostok. The character possesses established local networks, surveillance expertise, marksmanship, and close quarters combat training. Part of her assignment involves monitoring Manager Zo after the previous informant's death, creating an internal layer of oversight within the South Korean operation. Her prior television appearances in Snowdrop, Celebrity, and Romance is a bonus book established her as a reliable supporting presence capable of conveying competence and quiet determination. In Humint, the role requires seamless integration into the operational texture without overshadowing the central conflict. Lim's dual function as partner and potential internal reporter generates subtle friction with manager Zo, a dynamic that Jung Yojin's measured style supports. The character's physical capabilities also contribute to the film's action sequences, providing a second South Korean operative who can function independently when circumstances isolate manager Zo. Asterisk Lee Shin-ki as Gyam Tae-hyuk. Lee Shin-ki plays Gyam Tae, also rendered Gyam Tae-hyuk, the consul general's right-hand enforcer. The character executes orders without hesitation, combines physical brutality with operational cunning, and maintains an ability to observe trained operatives without detection. The role functions as the operational arm of Wang Chi-song's authority, extending the consul general's reach into street-level violence and surveillance. Lee Shin-ki's screen presence, previously seen in Jeong-song Creature Run-On and Boyfriend on Demand, supplies the necessary combination of menace and professionalism. The performance must avoid one-note villainy. GMT operates within a hierarchical system and derives satisfaction from competence as much as from cruelty. Interaction with Park Jeon generates particular tension, as the two North Korean figures navigate competing institutional priorities. Stunt and action demands associated with the character, including involvement in drifting sequences, further underscore the physical commitment required of the casting. Asterisk Robert Meiser as Alexei. Robert Meiser appears as Alexei, a local figure connected to the criminal and intelligence milieu of Vladivostok. The role contributes to the international texture of the production, reflecting the film's setting at the intersection of Russian, North Korean, and South Korean interests. Meiser's prior work, including Ballerina, positions him to deliver a credible presence within the European and Russian adjacent supporting cast filmed in Latvia. Kang Ha-kyung as Yoon Pyo and Lee Jun-young as Dong-cheol. Kang Ha-kyung and Lee Jun-young fill supporting operational roles that expand the network of agents and contacts surrounding the central investigation. Their characters contribute to the procedural texture, providing additional layers of information flow, surveillance, and logistical support. These casting choices reinforce the film's emphasis on collective intelligence work rather than isolated heroic action. Additional supporting and ensemble cast: Park Myung-shin portrays the Arirang restaurant manager, a figure who initially appears as an enforcer of institutional discipline, yet gradually reveals limited sympathy for the women under her control. The veteran actress's extensive filmography, including recent work in Genie, Make-A-Wish, and The Ugly, supplies the authority and nuance required for a character who is both product and participant in the system. Ju Bobi appears as Kim Soo-rin, the earlier informant whose death haunts manager Zoo. The role, though limited in screen time, carries significant emotional weight for the protagonist arc. Kim Ui-sung as the Anis director, Jang Yoon-sung as Minister Director Young, Kim Jong-soo as Director General Kim, and Yoon Kyung-ho as Minister Yoon populate the higher levels of the South Korean intelligence bureaucracy, establishing the institutional framework that dispatches and oversees manager Zo. Additional credits include Pierce Conran as a Russian businessman, various North Korean defectors and restaurant staff, and a range of stunt performers and local Latvian cast who fill the streets, auction houses, and consulate environments. As casting process and production context, the principal casting solidified by June 2024 with Zo In-sung, Park Jeong-min, Park Hae-joon, and Nana announced. Nana's subsequent departure in September 2024 due to scheduling conflicts prompted the rapid attachment of Shin Se-kyung, whose availability and established dramatic credentials allowed the production to proceed without significant delay. Principal photography began in October 2024, utilizing Riga, Latvia for street and location work intended to evoke Vladivostok. The multinational crew, Korean producers and creative leads working alongside Latvian line producers, stunt coordinators, and technical personnel required casting that could accommodate both Korean language performance and the practical demands of European location shooting. UK casting director Olivia Brittain and local Latvian casting contributed to the supporting international presence. The ensemble reflects deliberate calibration of star power, dramatic range, and physical capability. Zo In-sung and Park Jeong-min supply established leading man intensity and prior collaborative chemistry under the same director. Park Hae-joon brings contemporary television recognition and a proven ability to inhabit complex authority figures. Shin Se-kyung's return after a decade away from major film roles injects both nostalgia and renewed dramatic focus into the human intelligence core of the narrative. Supporting players fill institutional, operational, and atmospheric functions without diluting the central quartet's dominance. The overall casting strategy prioritizes performers capable of sustaining tension across procedural, interpersonal, and action registers while remaining credible within the specific geopolitical and cultural framework of North-South Korean intelligence operations conducted on Russian soil. Production development and pre-production of the project that would eventually become Humint was first confirmed by director Ryo Seung-wan as a new espionage action film carrying a production budget of approximately Liga 23.5 billion or roughly US $16 million. From the outset, the title itself was chosen to reflect the film's subject matter. Humint is shorthand within intelligence circles for human intelligence, a category of information gathering that relies on information collected and provided directly by human sources, as opposed to signals intelligence, satellite imagery, or other technical means of surveillance. By building the film's very name around this term, Ryo signaled early that the story would center less on gadgetry or large-scale technical espionage and more on the fraught, personal relationships between intelligence operatives and the human assets they rely upon, a thematic emphasis that would later be picked up by critics reviewing the finished film. Humint was produced by filmmaker R&K and distributed by Next Entertainment World New, a partnership structure consistent with the way Ryo has typically brought his large-scale action projects to the screen in Korea. The film was also positioned within a broader career narrative for its director. It was described as the third and final installment of Ryo's unofficial overseas location trilogy, a loose grouping of his films that take Korean characters, often intelligence operatives, soldiers, or civilians caught in geopolitical crossfire, and place them in international settings away from the Korean peninsula. The first two entries in this unofficial trilogy were The Berlin File 2013, a Cold War-inflected spy thriller set amid rival Korean intelligence factions in Germany, and Escape from Mogadishu 2021, a dramatization of the real-life evacuation of South and North Korean diplomatic staff from Somalia during the collapse of the Siad Barre government. With Humint, Ryo returned to the spy thriller register of the Berlin Files, specifically again pitting South Korean and North Korean intelligence operatives against one another, but this time relocating the drama to the Russian Far East city of Vladivostok, a location historically significant as a point of contact between Russia, China, and both Koreas. Casting negotiations began well over a year before the film's eventual release. Actor Zo In-sung was reported to be in talks to join the project in April 2024. Had the deal gone through as reported, it would represent Zo's third collaboration with Ryo Seung-wan, following their previous work together on Escape from Mogadishu 2021 and Smugglers 2023, a period-set heist thriller that became one of the biggest Korean box office successes of 2023. That prior collaborative relationship between star and director was itself notable within the Korean film industry, where directors and actors frequently form long-running creative partnerships across multiple genre films, and it gave Humint an air of anticipation among audiences and trade press who had followed the Ryozo pairing across two very different genres already. By June 2024, the film's central cast had been formally confirmed. Joining Zo In-sung were Park Jeong-min, Park Hae-joon, and the singer-actress Nana, known for her work both in K-pop and in Korean film and television. This lineup was reported in both Korean trade press and international outlets covering the Korean film industry, an indication of the level of interest Humint was generating even at a relatively early stage of pre-production, well before a single frame had been shot. Park Jeong-min and Park Hae-joon in particular had by this point built reputations as reliable, versatile performers capable of anchoring both prestige dramas and high-octane genre films, making them natural fits for a project balancing spy thriller mechanics with the character-driven emphasis Ryo was said to be pursuing. The originally announced cast did not remain fully intact through pre-production, however. 3 months after the June 2024 announcement, in September 2024, it was reported that Nana had stepped away from the project due to scheduling conflicts. Her departure was covered as a significant story in its own right within Korean entertainment media, given the anticipation that had built around her joining a high-profile Ryo Sung-wan production. She was replaced in the cast by actress Shin Se-kyung, a performer well known in Korea for a long career in television dramas. Her casting in Humint carried particular significance. It was reported as marking her first major film role in more than a decade, a return to the big screen after a sustained period built primarily around television work. This detail became a recurring point of interest in coverage of the film both before and after its release, as it represented not just a casting decision but something closer to a comeback narrative for one of the production's leads. With Zo In-sung, Park Jeong-min, Park Hae-joon, and Shin Se-kyung now set as the core ensemble, the production moved toward the logistics of actually mounting a film built around an international, geopolitically charged setting. Supporting the four leads were performers including Jung Yoo-jin, Lee Shin-ki, Robert Maser, Kang Ha-kyung, and Lee Jun-young, rounding out a cast built to populate both sides of the story's South Korean-North Korean intelligence conflict, as well as the wider cast of criminal and diplomatic figures operating in and around Vladivostok behind the camera. Ryo Seung-wan served in his customary dual role as both writer and director, a working method he has used across the bulk of his filmography, giving him direct control over how the film's screenplay translated onto the screen. Cinematography was handled by Yang Yun-suk, tasked with capturing the visual identity of a film that needed to convincingly render a specific atmospheric Russian Far East port city despite the practical and political complications of filming there directly. Editing duties fell to Bai Yeon-tae, and the film score was composed by Jo Young-wook, a composer with an extensive history of scoring high-profile Korean genre and prestige films. Filming principal photography on Humint began in October 2024, marking the transition from a project defined by casting announcements and script development into an active production with cameras rolling. Rather than filming on location in Vladivostok itself, a choice that would have presented substantial logistical and political complications given the geopolitical realities surrounding Russia at the time of production, the filmmakers instead shot their Vladivostok set sequences in Riga, the capital of Latvia. Riga's blend of Soviet-era architecture, port city infrastructure, and Baltic urban landscape allowed the production to approximate the visual character of Vladivostok, a city that itself carries a strong legacy of Soviet urban planning, naval and port facilities, and a similarly cold maritime Pacific, Baltic adjacent atmosphere despite the two cities sitting on opposite sides of the Eurasian landmass. This decision to substitute one former Soviet sphere city for another is a filmmaking practice with a long history in international productions that need to depict Russia, the former Soviet Union, or similarly styled Eastern European locations without the expense, access difficulties, or political sensitivities of filming in Russia itself. For a South Korean production built around a plot involving North Korean state security operatives, South Korean intelligence officers, and a criminal syndicate operating near a contested and heavily monitored international border, filming in Riga offered production designers and location scouts a genuine urban environment with the right visual texture, grey Soviet bloc apartment blocks, industrial waterfront infrastructure, and the kind of anonymous functional civic architecture associated in popular imagination with Russian Far East port cities, without the diplomatic complications of production in Russia. The choice of Riga also reflects a broader pattern among internationally minded Korean productions of the 2020s, which have increasingly used Central and Eastern European filming locations to stand in for a range of settings that would otherwise be difficult, expensive, or impossible to access directly. For Humint, This approach allowed Ryo Sangwan and his crew to maintain creative control over the film's setting and shooting schedule while still achieving the specific atmospheric overseas location quality that had defined the two earlier films in his unofficial trilogy, both of which likewise depicted Korean characters operating far outside the Korean peninsula in settings whose foreignness and sense of exposure were central to the drama. Post production following the completion of principal photography in Riga, the film moved into post production under editor by Yontai, whose work would ultimately shape the film's finished 119-minute runtime. As with any large-scale action thriller production, post-production on a film of this scale and ambition, spanning international shooting locations, a large ensemble cast, and a plot built around fast-moving espionage and action sequences required the editorial team to assemble footage shot across a demanding production schedule into a coherent narrative, balancing the character-driven, relationship-centered material that critics later highlighted with the large-scale action set pieces that are a signature of Ryo Sangwan's directorial style. Ryo has built much of his reputation across earlier films on kinetic, tightly choreographed action sequences, and the post-production process on Humint would have involved integrating those sequences with the more grounded, dialogue and performance-driven scenes that reviewers later singled out as the film's emotional core. The film's post-production period extended into the latter part of 2025, culminating in a promotional rollout that began in earnest in December of that year, indicating that picture lock, sound design, visual effects work, and color grading were completed on a timeline that allowed for a coordinated marketing campaign ahead of the film's confirmed February 2026 release date. Music, the film's original score, was composed by Jo Young-wook, whose credits place him among the more established composers working within Korean genre and prestige cinema. As the composer responsible for the musical identity of Humint, Joe's task was to underscore a narrative that, according to later critical response, functioned less as a straightforward action thriller and more as a story that used its espionage and action framework to sustain an underlying romantic and emotional throughline. A score for a film of this description would typically need to serve two distinct registers simultaneously: the tension and momentum required for the film's action sequences set against the Vladivostok standing in Riga backdrop, and the more intimate, character-focused emotional material that reviewers identified as the film's true center of gravity. The pairing of a genre composer with a script that Ryo Sangwan himself wrote and directed reflects the broader collaborative structure of the production, in which key creative roles, direction, screenwriting, cinematography, editing, and music were each assigned to specific experienced personnel working under Ryo's overall authorial vision. Balali's theatrical the marketing rollout for Humint began in earnest in the final weeks of 2025, well ahead of the film's confirmed theatrical release date. On December 24, 2025, distributor Next Entertainment World released the first two official posters for the film, featuring its main characters alongside a launch trailer that publicly confirmed the film's title, premise, and the February 11, 2026 release date that had been the subject of industry speculation. This initial promotional push served as the first significant public look at the finished film following more than a year of casting news, production reports, and set photography that had circulated in Korean entertainment media since filming began in Riga in October 2024. The promotional campaign escalated in the weeks immediately preceding release. On January 12, 2026, the production released 4 individual character posters, one for each of the film's principal cast members. These character posters were specifically noted in press coverage for their visual style: a gritty, high contrast aesthetic intended to reflect the tension and atmosphere of the film's Vladivostok setting. This stylistic choice in the poster campaign mirrored the broader tonal ambitions of the film itself, positioning Humint visually as a serious high-stakes espionage thriller, even as reviews following its release would ultimately characterize its emotional register as leaning toward romance as much as action. That same period saw one of the more unusual elements of the film's promotional campaign, a dedicated exhibition held at the Dongdaemun Design Plaza (DDP) in Seoul, one of the city's most prominent architectural and cultural landmarks. This DDP special exhibition integrated the visual assets from the film's marketing campaign, including the character posters and other promotional material, into an immersive physical public to experience curated behind the scenes material and on set memories contributed by the film's cast and crew. The exhibition ran for 2 weeks. Notably, this marked the first time the Dongdaemun Design Plaza had hosted a dedicated exhibition built around a single domestic Korean motion picture, a distinction that underscored the scale of the promotional ambitions behind Humint and the degree to which distributor Next Entertainment World sought to position the film as a major event release within the Korean film calendar. Coinciding with the unveiling of the character posters and the opening of the DDP exhibition, a formal press conference for the film was held on January 12, 2026 at a venue in Seoul's Gwangjin district. Press conferences of this kind are a standard element of Korean film promotional campaigns, typically bringing together the director and principal cast members to field questions from entertainment journalists ahead of a film's theatrical debut. And this event served as one of the first opportunities for Ryo Sang-wan and his cast to speak publicly and at length about the finished film in the immediate run-up to release. Humint was released theatrically in South Korea on February 11, 2026. The theatrical release was accompanied by an extensive nationwide promotional tour undertaken by the cast and by director Ryo himself, branded under the banner Team Humint. This tour of stage greetings, a common promotional format in Korean cinema in which cast members make personal appearances at individual theatrical screenings to greet audiences directly, sometimes participating in brief on-stage question and answer segments, began on February 7, 2026, several days ahead of the film's official release date. The tour's itinerary covered major cities across the country, including stops in Busan and Daegu, before the promotional schedule shifted to a concentrated series of events in Seoul that continued through the Lunar New Year holiday period, spanning February 14 through 18, 2026, a stretch of the calendar that represents one of the most significant theatrical release windows in the South Korean film industry each year, given the high volume of movie-going associated with the holiday. Among the specific stops on this promotional tour was a mini GV, a Korean industry term derived from guest visit, referring to an in-theater audience Q&A session held at the Busan Cinema Center, one of the country's most prominent dedicated film venues and the home of the Busan International Film Festival. The tour additionally included multiple appearances by cast members at screenings hosted by South Korea's three dominant multiplex cinema chains, CGV, Lotte Cinema, and Megabox, reflecting the coordinated, wide-reaching nature of the film's theatrical marketing push across the full breadth of the country's exhibition infrastructure. Home media following its theatrical run, Humint transitioned to streaming distribution considerably faster than many theatrical releases typically do. The film became available for streaming on Netflix on April 1, 2026, a date that placed its streaming debut less than 2 months after its February 11 theatrical premiere. This relatively short theatrical to streaming window reflects a broader pattern that has become increasingly common for Korean commercial films in the years since the disruptions to traditional theatrical release patterns, with major titles moving to streaming platforms on accelerated timelines compared to historical theatrical exclusivity windows, in part to capitalize on promotional momentum generated during a film's theatrical run, and in part to reach the substantial international subscriber base that platforms like Netflix have built for Korean language content. Domestic box office tracking for Humint began with the Korean Film Council's KOFIX integrated computer network for film tickets, the centralized data system used to monitor admissions for films released in South Korea. According to this system, Humint attracted 116,717 viewers on its opening day, February 11, 2026, a single-day admissions figure that placed the film in a competitive position within the always crowded Korean theatrical marketplace. and one that reporting at the time characterized as strong enough to give the film the top position among new releases on its opening day, reflecting a film that blended action and melodrama elements in a way seen as commercially appealing to a broad domestic audience. Admissions continued to accumulate through the film's theatrical run, including through the high traffic Lunar New Year holiday period that fell shortly after its release and was a specific target of the film's promotional stage greeting tour. As of March 8 or 2026, roughly 4 weeks after its theatrical debut, Humint had reached a cumulative total of 1,916,714 admissions in South Korea, according to Coffee Tracking. Internationally, tracking service Box Office Mojo also monitored the film's performance. Against a reported production budget of approximately $16 million, the film's overall box office gross was recorded at approximately $13.3 million, figures that place the film's theatrical earnings below its production budget, though such comparisons do not account for ancillary revenue streams, including the film's subsequent Netflix streaming deal, which would have represented a separate and additional source of revenue for the production beyond theatrical ticket sales. Critical reaction to Humint upon its theatrical release was mixed, with reviewers broadly agreeing on the film's visual and tonal ambition, while differing on how successfully that ambition translated into a cohesive final product. Writing for the Korea Herald, critic Moon Ki-hoon offered one of the more skeptical assessments of the film, describing it as a thriller long on spectacle but short on substance. Moon's review credited the film's cast with helping to sustain audience engagement despite what the review characterized as an increasingly implausible plot, noting that the performances keep afloat proceedings that grow more ludicrous by the minute. This assessment framed Humint as a film whose technical and visual accomplishments, consistent with Ryo Seung-wan's established reputation as a director skilled at staging large-scale action, outpaced the coherence or credibility of its narrative, positioning the ensemble cast performances as the element carrying the film through its more strained plot developments. A notably different reading of the film came from Woo Jae-yeon, writing for Yonhap News Agency. Woo's review characterized Humint as a film that leans closer to romance than action, despite its espionage thriller premise and marketing, arguing that the film's action sequences functioned not as the central attraction in their own right, but rather as a storytelling device that sustains the film's romantic thread. This interpretation positioned the large-scale set pieces, the kind of kinetic action choreography Ryo Seung-wan has built much of his directorial reputation upon, as being placed in service of an underlying emotional and romantic narrative involving the film's central characters rather than functioning as the film's primary draw. Woo's review went further in describing the lasting impression the film left on viewers, concluding that what lingers after the credits roll is not the action but the humanity and the choices people make, a framing that connected directly back to the film's title and thematic premise, given that Humint, as human intelligence, is definitionally about the human relationships and human choices that make espionage work possible, rather than about technology or tradecraft in the abstract. Taken together, these two prominent reviews illustrate a broader critical divide over Humint, whether the film's fusion of large-scale spy thriller action with a character-driven, relationship-centered emotional core represented a successful synthesis of genre elements, or whether the balance tipped too far towards spectacle at the expense of narrative credibility. This tension between the film's action thriller marketing and its more melodrama inflected substance appears to have shaped much of the critical conversation surrounding the film in the weeks following its release. Humint's critical reception also extended into industry awards recognition in the months following its theatrical run. At the Baeksang Arts Awards ceremony scheduled for May 8, 2026, one of the most prestigious annual award ceremonies in Korean film and television, recognizing achievement across both mediums, the film received nominations in acting categories for two of its supporting cast members. Park Hae-joon received a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, and Shin Se-kyung received a nomination for Best Supporting Actress, with both nominations listed as pending at the time of reporting ahead of the ceremony. Shin Se-kyung's nomination carried particular narrative resonance given the earlier reporting around her casting in the film, which had been framed as her first major film role in over a decade following a long period focused on television work. A Baeksang nomination for the performance would represent a significant marker of critical validation for what had been publicly characterized as a comeback role. Review number 1 Humint. Where to watch? Humint. Watch Humint with a subscription on Netflix. Critics reviews, audience reviews, my rating, cast and crew, Ryo Sung-wan, director Jo In-sung, manager Jo Park Jeong-min, Park Ji-yeon, Park Hae-joon, Hwang Chi-song, Shin Se-kyung. Che Seon-hwa, Jung Yoo-jin, assistant manager Lim, photos, Humint, movie info. Number 2 movies popular, now playing, upcoming top rated, popular, now playing, upcoming top rated. TV shows popular, airing today on TV top rated, popular. Airing today on TV, top rated, people popular, popular, awards popular, upcoming, more discussions, leaderboard support API, documentation API for business discussions, leaderboard support API documentation. API for business on login join TMDB overview main alternative titles awards cast and crew release dates translations watch now changes main alternative titles awards cast and crew release dates translations watch now changes. Media backdrops 27, logos 12, posters 31, videos, trailers 3, teasers 1, backdrops 27, logos 12, posters 31, videos, trailers 3, teasers 1, trailers 3, teasers 1, fandom discussions, overview general 0 content, issues 0 reviews, discussions, overview general 0 content, issues 0, overview. General 0 content issues 0 reviews share link Facebook tweet now streaming watch now Humint 2026 login to use TMDB's new rating system. Welcome to Vibes TMDB's new rating system. For more information visit the contribution Bible play trailer Humint compromise initiate extraction overview. A South Korean agent hunts a drug ring in Russia and goes head to head with a North Korean operative, pulling both into peril and tangled secrets. Ryo Seung-wan director, writer, top bill cast. Jo In-sung manager Zo. Park Jeong-min, Park Ji-yeon, Park Hae-joon, Hwang Chi-song, Shin Se-kyung, Choi Seon-hwa, Robert Master Alexei, Eugene Jung, assistant manager Lim, Park Myung-shin, North Korean restaurant manager, Lee Shin-ki, Gyum-tae, Kang Ha-kyung, Eun Po-yo. View more, full cast and crew.social. Reviews 2, discussion 0, a review by Movie Guys. Written by Movie Guys on April 2nd, 2026. Looks can be deceiving. Humint appears to be an exciting, action-packed spy thriller. Indeed, in the opening and closing scenes it is, but the lull between action and excitement takes up the majority of this film's length. In short, it's predominantly a rather depressing, uninteresting interpersonal tale that fails to engage with the viewer. In summary, a film that doesn't know whether it's an action flick or an interpersonal drama and ends up being neither. Not recommended. Recommended. Read all reviews. Media. Most popular videos 4 backdrops 27 posters 31 original title Humint status released original language Korean budget 16,000 revenue 13,207,600 keywords double agent double cross undercover operation South Korea North Korea inter-Korean relations National Intelligence Service NIS political conspiracy, spy deadly alliance, trust no one, hidden truths, silent war, broken loyalty, shadow politics, cold betrayal, final operation. Intelligence war, NIS agent Humint, contents cover 100. Yes, looking good. Looks like we're missing the following data or N US contributors 11 TMDB 0815 81 Sherrilcock 44 Saksu 29 Ogboomer 82 view edit history. Popularity trend, login to edit.keyboard, shortcuts, login to report an issue, can't find a movie or TV show, login to create it, login.signup.global, on media pages, on TV season pages, on TV episode pages, on all image pages, on all edit pages, on discussion pages, settings. Want to rate or add this item to a list, login, not a member, sign up and join the community. Number 1, Humint, where to watch? Humint. Watch Humint with a subscription on Netflix. Critics reviews, audience reviews, my rating, cast and crew, Ryo Seung-wan, director Jo In-sung, manager Jo Park, Jeong-min, Park Ji-yeon, Park Hae-joon, Hwang Chi-song, Shin Se-kyung, Choi Seon-hwa, Jung Yoo-jin, assistant manager Lim. Photos, Humint movie info. Number 2 movies popular now playing, upcoming top rated, popular now playing. Upcoming top rated TV shows popular airing today on TV top rated popular airing today, top rated people popular Popular upcoming, more discussions, leaderboard support, API documentation, API for business, discussions, leaderboard support, API documentation, API for business on login join TMDB. Overview main, alternative titles, awards, cast and crew, release dates, translations, watch now, changes. Main, alternate titles, awards, cast and crew, release dates, translations, watch now, changes. Media backdrops 27, logos 12, posters 31, videos, trailers 3, teasers 1, backdrops 27, logos 12, posters 31, videos, trailers 3, teaser 1, trailers 3, teasers 1, fandom discussions, overview, general content, issues, reviews, discussions, overview, general 0, content, issues 0, overview. General 0, content issues 0, reviews, share link Facebook tweet, share link Facebook tweet. Now streaming 2026, login to use TMDB's new rating system. Welcome to Vibes, TMDB's new rating system. For more information, visit the Contribution Bible, play trailer Humint compromised, initiate extraction, overview. A South Korean agent hunts a drug ring in Russia and goes head to head with a North Korean operative, pulling both into peril and tangled secrets. Ryo Sung-wan, director, writer, top billed cast, Zo In-sung, manager, Zo. Park Jeong-min, Park Gyeon, Park Hae-joon, Hwang Chi-song, Shin Sae-kyung, Choi Seon-hwa, Robert Maser, Alexei, Eugene Jung, assistant manager, Lim, Park Myung-shin, North Korean restaurant manager, Lee Shin-ki, Gyum-tae, Kang Ha-kyung, Yoon-pyo. View more full cast and crew, social reviews 2, discussion 0, a review by Movie Guys, written by Movie Guys on April 2026. Looks can be deceiving. At first inspection, Humint appears to be an exciting action-packed spy thriller. Indeed, in the opening and closing scenes it is, but the lull between action and excitement takes up the majority of this film's length. In short, it's predominantly a rather depressing, uninteresting interpersonal tale that fails to engage with the viewer. In summary, a film that doesn't know whether it's an action flick or an interpersonal drama and ends up being neither. Not recommended. Recommended. Read all reviews. Media. Most popular. Videos 4, backdrops 27, posters 31, original title Humint, status released, original language Korean, budget 16 million thousand, revenue 13.7 dollars, keywords double agent, double cross, undercover operation South Korea, North Korea enter Korean relations, National Intelligence Service, NIS political conspiracy, spy versus spy, deadly alliance, trust no one, hidden truths, silent war, broken loyalty, shadow politics, cold betrayal, final operation. Intelligence war, NIS agent, content score 100. Yes, looking good. Looks like we're missing the following data. In an US top contributors 101, TMDB 0815, 81, Sherlock Kaka 44, Kasu 29, Okboomer 82. View edit history. Popularity trend, login to edit dot keyboard shortcuts dot login to report an issue, can't find movie or TV show, login to movie or TV show, on media pages, on TV season pages, on TV episode pages, on all image pages. On all edit pages, want to rate or add this item to a list, login, not a member, sign up and join the community. Namin 2026 bar 2.5 of a slick but bland genre product. South Korean filmmaker Ryo Sung-wan's latest film Humint is a slick but deficient genre product. While there are a number of well-executed scenes to entertain us, the movie also feels a bit too trite and bland in terms of storytelling and characterization, and I merely followed its predictable plot turns without really caring about its story and characters during my viewing. The movie begins with the latest operation of manager Zo In-sung, a South Korean National Intelligence Service agent who has tried to track an international crime syndicate involved with drug and human trafficking. The opening scene shows him trying to get an important piece of information from an unfortunate North Korean woman he is willing to help in exchange for her information. However, because of her rather unstable condition, his operation gets botched at the last minute, and that leads to a devastation moment for him and his team. Anyway, based on what that North Korean woman said to him, Zo comes to learn more about that international crime syndicate in question. Its main operation site is Vladivostok, a port city which is located near the border between Russia and North Korea. After reporting more about his investigation to the chief of his agency, he immediately goes to Vladivostok, and we soon see him working on getting anyone suitable enough to be a human intelligence or Humint for him. When Zo encounters a North Korean restaurant employee Seonwa Shin Se-kyung, nothing much is exchanged between them on the surface at first, but of course she is later recruited by him due to a desperate personal reason. Thanks to her, Zo gets more information on that crime syndicate and how closely it has been associated with some corrupt North Korean officials. Meanwhile, things become more complicated with the arrival of Park Jeong-min, a North Korean state security official sent for investigating on the human trafficking across Russo North Korean border. While he quickly arrests a North Korean broker, Park instantly senses something fishy about Hwang Chi-song, Park Hae-joon, the North Korean consul general who certainly looks suspicious right from his very first scene in the film. Because of Hwang and his men, Park is frequently blocked in his investigation in one way or another, and it also turns out that he was once in a relationship with Seon Hwa, who is not so pleased when she comes across him at her workplace. As she is taken by that crime syndicate for getting sold to somewhere just like many other unfortunate North Korean women, the movie expectedly follows the footstep of many other similar action thriller movies such as Yes Taken 2008. Both Park and Zo become all the more determined to find and then save Seon Hwa by any means necessary, and that certainly leads to a lot of actions to be unfolded across the screen. Around this narrative point, we are supposed to care more about the main characters, but Ryo's screenplay often stumbles due to its thin characterization. While Zo looks quite dedicated to his work and protecting his informant, we never get to know more about him besides that, and the same thing can be said about Park, who mostly looks stoic and firm as required, even when Seon-hwa is in grave danger right in front of him at later in the story. In case of Seon-hwa, she also remains to be more or less than a plot element, just like several other minor female characters in the story. The movie also feels rather uncomfortable when it depicts how she and several other unfortunate North Korean women are cruelly handled by the members of that international crime syndicate, and it only shows a bit of consideration when they are thrown into more danger during its climactic part. If you have seen any of Ryo's previous works, such as The Berlin File 2013, you know that he is a skillful action movie director, and he surely provides several good action scenes to impress you. In case of an intense physical action scene, the two performers on the screen look fairly believable as their characters fight along the staircase of some shabby building, and you may overlook for a while that their characters did not need to fight with each other from the very beginning. When the story eventually arrives at the finale, Ryo pulls all stops as expected with lots of bangs and crashes to rattle us, but we seldom get confused as closely following the busy actions among its several main characters. The four main cast members of the film try to fill their broad archetype roles as much as possible, but they are all limited by their superficial roles in one way or another. While Zo In-sung does not have much to do except looking serious or frustrated throughout the film, Park Jeong-min manages to bring a bit of personality to his part, and Park Hae-joon often goes over the top with his cartoonish villain character. Although she brings a bit of tenderness to the film, Shin Se-kyung is sadly stuck with her thankless role, and that reminds me again of how many of South Korean genre films have been seriously flawed in terms of female characters. In conclusion, Humint is dissatisfying mainly because it does not have enough substance and personality to carry its competent actions, and the overall result is one or two steps below The Berlin File and several other better works from Ryo. Although it is not wholly without entertainment, Ryo could do better than this, as recently shown from Escape from Mogadishu 2021 and Smugglers 2023, and I can only hope that I will be more entertained in the next time. Recent post The Odyssey 2026, Hoi 12354, Nolan's stark and gritty spectacle The Truth versus Jones, Alex Jones 2024, The Judgment on a Vile Purveyor of Lies, The Gorals 2025, a modest but charming coming-of-age tale, What Should We Have Done 2023-34, The Memories of His Schizophrenic Sister Spider-Man, Brand New Day 2026-34, Brand Old Familiar Day Suspense Path 2024 122.54, a possible French remake by Kiyoshi Kurosawa Suspense Path 1998, a darkly twisty revenge thriller The Fin 2025 Mics 34. An odd and strange South Korean dystopian film Contempt 1963 3-4 Until There Is Nothing But Contempt for Him Dead of Winter 2025 3-4 Emma Thompson Can Also Do Some Action Folks. Recent posts The Odyssey 2026 22354 Nolan Stark Spectacle The Truth versus Alex Jones 2024 The Judgment on a Wild Purveyor of Lies The Gorals 2025 of Lies The Gorals a modest but charming coming of age tale. What should we have done? 2023 3-4 The Memories of His Schizophrenic Sister Spider-Man Brand New Day 2026 3-4 Brand Old Familiar Day. Serpent's Path 2024 Distinct of Passable French remake by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Serpent's Path 1998 Tina's 3-4 A darkly twisty revenge thriller. The Fin 2025 3-4 An odd and strange South Korean dystopian film Contempt 1963 3-4 Until There Is Nothing But Contempt for Him. Dead of Winter 2025 3-4 Emma Thompson Can Also Do Some Action Folks. Blogroll plugins suggest ideas, support forum themes, WordPress Planet. Blogroll plugins suggest ideas, support forum themes, WordPress Planet. Interesting Windows, Dreams of Arcadia, Krishna Bala Shenoy Muzaffar's Moments. Interesting Windows, Dreams of Arcadia, Krishna Bala Shenoy Muzaffar's Moments. Movies David Bordwell, Grace Wang, Literary Dreamer, Michael Mirasol, Omar P.L., More S.M. Rana, The Bond Cinema Conspiracy, Vale Carey. Movies David Bordwell, Grace Wang, Literary Dreamer, Michael Mirasol. Omar P.L. Moore, S.M. Rana, The Bond Cinema Conspiracy, Vale Carey. February 2026, MTW TFSS 123456789101112131415 Zungstis 171819202122232425262728. Categories Chicago Ebert Fest Movies Personal Photos Kentucky. Categories Chicago Ebert Fest Movies Personal Photos Kentucky. Meta Create Account Login Entries Feed Comments Feed WordPress. Meta Create Account Login Entries Feed Comments Feed WordPress.com.
G chi vi mei li si soi ai chi di ai chi ti li sai chi ai sư soi sư chi chi
Archives, RS posts, RS comments, RS posts, RS comments, my photos, more photos, my photos, Chicago Ibert Fest movies, personal photos, Kantutiki. Subscribe to blog via email, join 830 other subscribers. Subscribe to blog via email, blog stats 1,310,745 hits, blog stats 1,310,745 hits. Songyong's Twitter tweets by Keist455, Songyong's Twitter. Number 4, letterboxed, your life in film. Add to your films. I watched edit diary entry. Your diary date, if set, and watch status for this film remain publicly visible. Ratings on close friends and you entries don't contribute to stats. Add members to your close friends from their profile. Set your account default for privacy mode in settings. Where to watch? Trailer. Huminter, directed by Ryo Sing-won. Synopsis: Huminti compromised, initiate extraction. A South Korean agent hunts a drug ring in Russia and goes head-to-head with a North Korean operative, pulling both into peril and tangled secrets. Cast: director, producers. Writer, editor, cinematography, assistant director asked, director, lighting, production design, set decoration, visual effects, stunts, composer, sound, costume design, makeup, studio, country, primary language, spoken languages, alternative titles. Humint, Rengong Singbo, Debo Ansen, Humint, Jasusia, Kim Chararchun Khonnengao, Intelligentsia Humana Abo Ansen, Agentura, Humint, Listikhbarat al Basharia, Fuminto. Genres, themes, releases by date, country, theatrical. 11 Feb 2026, South Korea 15, digital 31 March 2026, Ukraine 16 plus, Sweden 15, Brazil 16, India UCJ 16 plus, Singapore NT 16, Spain 16, Mexico, Australia 15 plus, UK 15, Ireland 15, Turkey 16 plus, USR 01 APA 2026, South Korea 15, Japan, Argentina 31 March 2026, Digital Plus 16 Netflix, Australia 31 March 15 plus Netflix, Brazil 31 March 2026, Digital 16 Netflix, India 31 March 2026, Digital UC 16 plus Netflix, Digital 15 Netflix Japan, and 31 March 2026, Digital 15 Netflix Mexico, 31 March 2026, Digital Netflix Singapore, 31 March 2026, Digital NC 16 Netflix South Korea, 11 Feb 2026, Theatrical 15, 1 April 2026, Digital 15 Netflix, Spain 31 March 2026, Digital 15 Netflix, Sweden 31 March 2026, Digital 15 Netflix, Turkey 31 March 2026, Digital 16 plus Netflix, UK 31 March 2026. Digital 15 Netflix, USA 31 March 2026, Digital R Netflix, Ukraine 31 March 2026, Digital 16 plus Netflix. 120 means more at IMDb, TMDb report this page, popular reviews. When the triple Spider-Man pointing meme ass moment came out of nowhere. Thank God we still have South Korea serving action realness with a galore of testosterone, cause Hollywood just gave up. Shin Sakyong's character working at a restaurant called Arirang feels like destiny. Glossy spy style, zero soul. Netflix's latest South Korean thriller, Humint, looks great on paper. It's got a dark premise, north-south tensions, and a gritty human trafficking subplot. The start actually pulls you in pretty well, but unfortunately the movie can't keep that momentum going. High production, low impact, the one thing you can't deny, the production value is top tier. It looks expensive, the cinematography is moody and polished, and the overall vibe is super professional. You can really see the effort put into the visual style, but while it starts strong, it completely stalls in the middle. The movie gets bogged down in a basic spy plot and a love triangle that just doesn't land, even though it tries. Welcome back Kim Do-sik from moving. Oh god, I love Korean cinema. Excellent action director as usual. The portrayal and photography of the North Korean characters was quite exciting as well, with actors having much more fun with those roles. Especially that beloved Park Jeong-min, who I won't make the mistake of not recognizing again. But the tale got a bit dull in the middle there with this less believable setting, poor balance of romance and action, and the usual trope of reckless spies. Also, I had hoped Shin Se-kyung would have a fun, fierce, badass role, but at least though she got some heroic moments towards the end there. Zo In-sung asked kicking fest, yeah, take my money. This was brutal, off, and insanely depressing, but they ate with the fight scenes, kept me fully engaged throughout a 30-minute shootout scene with no real dialogue. Ryo Seung-wan's the king of Korean action. A South Korean agent and a North Korean agent find themselves in Vladivostok, Russia, both intent on saving the same woman, a victim of a human trafficking ring. True to Korean action flicks, bullets fly and many people die. If Kim Jong-un watched this movie, he would probably get mad and shoot a few dozen people. I was so entertained by the well-choreographed fight scenes, especially Zo In-sung's first fight scene and the one against the blonde man. You have no idea how much I grieved when Zo In-sung's character got shot in the leg and could no longer kick ass. His kicks were basically the highlight of every fight scene. Ejige and Shin Se-kyung is so pretty that I kept getting distracted whenever she was on screen. Fight choreography is crazy good in this, and the last 40 minutes are really intense. Similar films, select your preferred poster, select your preferred backdrop, upgrade to remove ads. Letterboxd is an independent service created by a small team, and we rely mostly on the support of our members to maintain our site and apps. Please consider upgrading to a pro account for less than a couple bucks a month. You'll get cool additional features like all-time and annual stats pages. Example: the ability to select and filter by your favorite streaming services and no ads. Number 5, Humint 2026, Netflix movie review, competent thrills, familiar emotions. Ryo Seung-wan's Humint opens with a strong emotional hook. Manager Zo In-sung, who works for the South Korean National Intelligence Service, interrogates a trafficked woman and promises that he and his team will rescue her, but he is forced to back out due to the logistical constraints of the operation. For starters, Zo's team must first send a video recording of the woman's confession back to the agency, and only after the agency deems the information valuable will it dispatch a rescue chopper. Zo initially begins to walk away reluctantly, but when he witnesses the brutal assault inflicted on the woman by the men exploiting her for profit, he intervenes. Zo kills the culprits but is ultimately unable to save the victim. She dies. Throughout the film, clouds of guilt hang over Zo as he carries out his mission. In-sung ensures that we glimpse a layer of regret beneath his character's stone-cold exterior. With that emotionally charged opening, Sung-wan also establishes his own thematic mission: to present government agents, at least the more conscientious ones, differently from the institutions they serve. Many of those co-workers display little sympathy for their informers. One colleague even remarks that in their line of work, people must be treated as disposable. You cannot grow attached to everyone. What distinguishes agents like Zo, his colleague Im, Jung Yoo-jin, and Park Jeong-min is their ability to empathize with the suffering of others. They behave like humans. Complicating matters further, Zo and Park serve agencies from countries that are hostile to one another. Zo represents South Korea, while Park is an official in North Korea's state security apparatus. Their paths intersect in the cold, forbidding terrain of Vladivostok, Russia. Despite their political opposition, both men share a connection to Chai Senwa Shin Se-kyung, a worker at a North Korean restaurant. Zo sees in her an opportunity for redemption, while Park shares with her a tempestuous romantic past. Sang-wan proves competent in handling these emotional and political dynamics. He accomplishes the task, though much of the weight is carried by the excellent performances, which lend substance to material that might otherwise feel cliched or overly melodramatic. Even Robert Messer manages to make his one-dimensional Russian villain convincingly disturbing. At one point, he shoots a woman multiple times with chilling, sadistic pleasure. The collaboration between South and North Korean characters appears designed to highlight the shared humanity that exists across political divides. When examined closely, the differences between the two Koreas seem less pronounced at the level of individual citizens. In one scene, a character sarcastically references the Korean unification flag, yet Sangwan himself does not appear ironic about the prospect of reconciliation. If anything, the film suggests that cooperation between the two nations could lead to greater success in confronting common threats. Ultimately, it requires the combined efforts of characters from both sides to defeat the movie's villains. Whatever Sangwan's broader intentions, he unquestionably excels at staging action sequences. I nearly covered my eyes when two characters stumbled down a flight of stairs, and it is a testament to Sangwan's craftsmanship that he sustains tension during an extended climactic shootout that might otherwise have become monotonous. I was also struck by a torture scene in which Seon Hwa is repeatedly forced to write her confession. I cannot recall encountering a similar sequence elsewhere. The opening and closing shots appear clearly inspired by Le Samouraï, Jean-Pierre Melville's classic crime thriller. Humint may not be a great film, but it performs its function effectively. It delivers sufficient drama and suspense and remains consistently engaging. Most importantly, Sang-wan demonstrates that clichés cease to be problematic when handled with style, care, and genuine craft. Final score 710 reviewed by Vikas Yadav. Follow at Vikas Honoris on Twitter, publisher at Midgard Times. Related articles. Good News 2025 Netflix movie review. Beyond Sung-yoon's funny, ambitious, tedious satire movies Oct 15. Good News 2025 Netflix movie review. Beyond Sung-yoon's funny, ambitious, tedious satire. Our Unwritten Soul Netflix series review. Park Bo-young is remarkable in a promising show TV shows May 25. Our Unwritten Soul Netflix series review. Park Bo-young is remarkable in a promising show. Revelations 2025 Netflix movie review. Faith, Vengeance and the Blurred Lines of Justice movies Mar 22. Revelations 2025 Netflix movie review. Faith, Vengeance and the Blurred Lines of Justice. Resident Playbook Netflix series review. A poignant journey through the trenches of women's health TV shows April 12. Resident Playbook Netflix series review. A poignant journey through the trenches of women's health. Resident Playbook trailer and release date on Netflix TV shows Mar 30. Resident Playbook trailer and release date on Netflix. Tags. Categories: movies, TV shows, Marvel, DC Comics, Netflix, HBO, Disney Plus, Prime Video supporters. Hi everyone, after a due consideration, we have decided that we will be open for donations to help us in managing our website. We will be grateful for any kind of amount we receive. Thanks. PayPal, email, protected, pictwitter.com, DLNNZ5, NPM5, subscribe, get all latest content delivered to your email a few times a month, bringing pop culture news from every realm. Get all the latest movie, TV news, reviews and trailers. Got any questions? Drop an email to email protected. Popular posts from season 5. Filming dates revealed for the final season of sci-fi mystery series June 27. From season 5. Filming dates revealed for the final season of sci-fi mystery series. Satluj 2026 ZE5 movie review. Honey Trehan honors Jaswant Singh Kalra but misses the Manjul 5. Satluj 2026 ZE5 movie review. Honey Trehan honors Jaswant Singh Kalra but misses The Man. Desire 2026 Netflix movie review. An erotic thriller that leaves you dry and unfulfilled Jul 18. Desire 2026 Netflix movie review, an erotic thriller that leaves you dry and unfulfilled. Movie release calendar, production, about us, contact us, sitemap, standard and ethics policy, privacy and policy, terms and conditions. Number 6, Netflix's new one movie is an action spy thriller you've never heard of. Netflix has a new one movie and it's an action thriller you've probably never heard of. The platform has become rather adept at delivering surprising action movie hits, with the likes of Extraction, Rebel Ridge, The Shadow Strays, this year's War Machine, and more making an impression on streaming. Now, audiences are delving into a shadowy new spy thriller from earlier this year, which promises James Bond-esque action amid the complex espionage of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, with some John Wick-style gunplay thrown in for good measure. After bagging the streaming rights, Netflix debuted Humint earlier this week, and the action outing has quickly found success. Humint, which is the real-world term used for covert intelligence gathering by agents, now stands proudly at each one on the Netflix Global Top 10 as audiences flock to witness this uniquely elegant action-packed spy thriller. Humint has now beaten several other major Netflix hits, including Reacher star Alan Richardson's sci-fi action flick War Machine and the gangster follow-up Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. Looking down the rest of the list, some of the most popular movies on the platform right now include Kevin Costner's neo-western Let Him Go, the dystopian action thriller 40 Acres, and the revenge series The Red Line. Humint finds two warring agents going head-to-head. From writer and director Ryo Singwan, Humint brings to an end the filmmaker's unofficial overseas location trilogy, which began with the 2013 spy thriller The Berlin File, which is also streaming on Netflix, and 2021's political thriller Escape from Mogadishu, which you can stream on Prime Video or free with the Roku channel. The story follows a complex web of spies and conspiracies as it centers on a South Korean agent hunting a drug ring in Russia who finds himself going head to head with a North Korean operative on a mission that pulls both into peril and tangled secrets. Starring Zo In-sung moving Escape from Mogadishu as Manager Zo, the South Korean NIS agent, and Park Jeong-min, Hellbound, Time to Hunt, as Park Ji-yeon, the North Korean state security official at his back. Humint has yet to enter the charts in the US, but this will surely change rapidly as the movie's popularity gathers pace. Humint delivers the best heroic bloodshed in recent memory. Much like the spies at the center of the story, Humint has flown incredibly far under the radar, and while this is sure to change fast following its streaming success, hardly any reviews have yet emerged. Some of the ones that have, however, praise the action spy thriller as the perfect homage to John Woo that expertly merges neo and neo-western sensibilities before rewarding patient viewers with some of the best heroic bloodshed in recent memory, following a deliberately paced hour of shady encounters. Clearly, landing the streaming rights to Humint following its theatrical debut back in February was a shrewd move by Netflix, which adds another future action thriller classic to its library. Found an error? Send it info@movieweb. Calm so it can be corrected.